Say hello to the all-new BMW 7 Series. And when I say new, I mean new because BMW has absolutely gone to town with this car in terms of design, the tech offered, equipment, luxury, and of course drama and theatre as well. But does it feel like a 7 Series? Does it still drive like a 7 Series? And if not, how much of a jump is it? Well, that's what we're going to find out. But before we get ahead, don't forget to subscribe to the Autocar India channel and hit that bell icon as well. Let's start with the one most controversial factor in this review, the design. Alright, let's face it, let's really face it, because the face of the 7 Series has been the talk of the town ever since it was launched. It has absolutely split opinion, enthusiasts, experts, everyone is sort of ripping it to shreds. And I think the big problem is that this part right here, that is always blacked out, that really stands out, looks like an ugly mustache, because the top part of the car is in a different body color, the bottom part is in a different body color as well. Only the grille and a bit of the surround is in black. It just looks out of proportion. However, with this black sapphire paint, I think the problems have been sorted out. It now looks a lot more even. Yes, the grille is something you're going to have to get used to. It's also backlit, so it's not going to hide even in the dark. But in terms of that overall strong road presence and that stance, that imposing stance that you want, it really makes heads turn everywhere. Everywhere you look, people are clicking pictures or people are turning around to see what exactly is this thing. Then you have the LED DRLs up top, which have Swarovski crystals in them. So if you like bling, which I guess you do at this kind of price tag, then you're definitely sorted. At night, they look absolutely stunning. Below that are the adaptive LED headlamps, really sharp, powerful, great illumination, so not an issue at all. And of course, since this is an M Sport, you have some sporty bits for the bumper as well. Now overall, it's a very monolithic design. It is big, in your face. You have the massive bonnet as well with these two sharp creases on it. It's nice and wide as well. So yeah, you're not going to miss it, and you're definitely not going to be on the fence with this one. However, it's been a while since this car is out and people have started to like the design. But of course, we'd love to know your thoughts, so do let us know down in the comments. Has the black sapphire paint fixed a lot of that design flaw, or do you still don't like it at all? Now, as we come over to the side, things get a lot simpler, especially when you compare it to the front, because as you can see, no real sharp lines or creases here. You have one shoulder line and that's pretty much it. The doors are very clean and plain, nice and large as well. So the size is something you just can't miss. Measures over 5 meters long with a wheelbase of over 3 meters. So yeah, it does have size on its side. And now, because all BMW 7 Series are long wheelbase, you no longer have this in Li. It is just 740i. But that still means you get the long wheelbase one. So space and style is still very strong. When it comes to wheels, you have 20 inches for the front and the rear, slightly fatter tires for the rear, and of course they are M Sport wheels, so they look sporty and really nice and aggressive. And at the rear, things simmer down considerably. Nothing here that shouts and screams at you, no polarizing design. Two very simple LED tail lamps. You have some chrome around them. You have some chrome on the bottom, a 4 diffuser. You don't even have exhaust that are sticking out. I mean, this is a petrol model. They could have done that, but nothing. Very clean, very understated. And I think this is an angle that will appeal to a lot of people. Obviously, it will not split opinion. But in terms of overall design, I think BMW have managed to get attention. If that's what you want, then this works absolutely spot on. But what gets even more attention is the interior. Now, the owners of a 7 Series won't really find themselves in the driver's seat very often, but on the off chance that you are here, things are not bad at all. First is the cabin and the design. It just looks stunning with a lot of crystal use. You have a good amount of metal as well, high quality plastics. You have some faux wood polished. It is nice and very upmarket. You have soft touch padding everywhere, and the overall build is exceptional. Fit finish is something that is absolutely flawless with the 7 Series. Then you have the seats themselves, nice and broad. They are wide, they are accommodating, extremely well cushioned and supportive. And of course, you have a host of adjustments. So you can adjust, obviously, a lot of bolstering. You can adjust the lumbar support as well. Massaging is an option. You have heating and ventilation. So a lot that is on offer here. Inside you have a digital instrument cluster that is again highly customizable, lots that you can do with it. The designs, you have the themes as well. So it really makes you feel special, especially when it's dark. You know, when the sun goes down, the whole cabin just comes alive. Especially you have this crystal that lights up nice and bright and just gives it a very nice lounge-like vibe. Then you have the steering wheel, which of course is an M Sport steering. So you have a bit of metal here as well. You have your basic controls for cruise control and media settings. And you also have the paddle shifters with the boost mode as well. Then you have the main iDrive system, which is very good to respond. The touchscreen is exceptional and the resolution is very good too. Problem is a lot is crammed in it. In fact, there are absolutely no buttons on here. Even the few for the glove box and the defogger are on a haptic pad, so they are not physical buttons. And that means every time you have to make a slight change to the temperature, to the fan speed, you have to go into the iDrive, and that is quite distracting, especially when you're on the move. Low down, you have even more controls. You have your drive mode select, you have your ride height adjust, and of course you have your camera as well, apart from the media settings. But the use of crystals is so well done that it really gives the cabin a nice premium feel. Some find it chintzy, some who haven't seen it think it's a bit cheap, but trust me, in person it looks really nice and premium. However, as good as the front of the cabin is, it is no match for the rear seat experience. Now this is what the 7 Series is all about, being chauffeured around in an absolute abundance of space. I mean, I'm over 6 feet, I've got long legs, and just look at the space I have. This seat is set in a reasonable position even for the front passenger, and I still have loads of room, enough room to stretch as well. Width is not an issue, headroom is not an issue, and you have a very good view out the windows as well. You're seated nice and high, so you don't have that feeling of being hemmed in. It really is very comfortable. A lot of that has to do with the seats as well, which are superbly cushioned. The bolstering, the support is just right, and of course you have all the goodies that you have in the front seat. So you have seat massaging for the rear, you have seat heating and seat ventilation as well. Now another highlight or talking point are these 5.5-inch LCD screens on each door, and that is basically your control center, your command center for the rear seat. You can control so many things, right from the climate control to the blinds, to the lights, the ambient lighting, if you want reading lights. There's also Amazon Fire Stick connectivity, which means you can stream Netflix, YouTube, of course Amazon Prime as well, and it is all projected on this massive 8K screen. The resolution is superb. However, the aspect ratio is a bit weird. I'm not sure you can watch a lot of things on that full screen layout, but you can definitely do a lot with it. Select theatre mode in the screen and the 31.3-inch 8K screen folds down in a grandiose sequence with audio designed by Hans Zimmer playing in the background. All this happens as the rear window blinds, rear windshield blind and the sunroof block out the outside world, and the passenger side rear seat reclines fully, allowing you to stretch completely and transforming the cabin into an uncanny theatre-like experience. Also for the rear seat, you have 4-zone climate control and the AC is really nice. The cabin gets cooled really fast. Then is the question of comfort. Like we know, the 7 Series gets air suspension, adaptive air suspension, and yes, it is a softly sprung setup, which means you do wallow about a fair bit on those uneven roads, but in terms of absorbing those shocks, it really does a very good job, because you don't really feel these small ruts and cracks and broken patches of road. It just glides over everything. At cruising speeds, the new 7 simply floats on the road and is extremely close, if not better, than the current gen Mercedes-Benz S-Class, courtesy the self-leveling suspension. However, there is one thing that will be a big hit among 7 Series owners, and that of course is the ability to completely stretch your legs. So you go into seats, you go into this sleep setting, and it's just one touch. You don't have to keep on holding the button or nothing like that. Press it once and the magic begins. This seat will now go into its furthermost position, and you also will get an automatic footrest that will come out in a bit. What also will help is the under thigh support that will protrude out, and that means you just have the best possible position to relax and be comfortable, even if the road is bad. Alright, better get my shoes off. You wouldn't want a soil, this lovely tan leather. As you can see, under thigh support comes up, seat goes further ahead. It's rising as well, and there comes the footrest. And along with that, the backrest reclines at the most optimum angle. And this now is just perfect. I can just put the screen down. In fact, let's just do that. Screen is display, and just roll down. Voila, that's that. I can now watch Amazon, Netflix. It's the perfect life. As amazing as the rear seat is, the 7 is still a BMW, and that means driving dynamics are still quite important. Alright, behind the wheel of the BMW 7 Series, it is the 740i, which means under the bonnet you get a 3-litre turbo petrol engine, 381 horsepower and 520 Nm. However, there's also a 48-volt mild hybrid system, and you also get a boost mode, which makes it 540 Nm for 10 seconds. Now, the 7 was never a car that was short of performance. It was for one of those people who wanted luxury but also liked to take the wheel every once in a while. And well, they have continued that tradition because performance is quite swift, even in its most relaxed setting. And it doesn't really lunge ahead like the M340i or some of the EVs, but you do feel a sudden surge in performance and a surge in power. Hold the left boost pedal and the response and acceleration is even more rapid, along with a nice raspy note from the exhaust as well. Of course, a lot of that is down to the drive mode that you choose. Now, if you press drive modes here, it's not like the traditional old school BMW drive mode where you get your eco, comfort, sport. You have a lot others as well. Personal, there's sport, there's efficient, there is expressive, relax, and of course the theater mode, along with a digital art mode. So half of these are for aesthetics and for the feel-good factor, but the one functional mode is of course sport. So you press on to sport, activate, the bolsters hug your body tighter, the car also lowers itself by 10 mm, and of course you have amped up responses from the engine, the gearbox and the steering. Now from the looks of it, there is no individual configurable mode, but you have to go into sport to get to that. So you go into settings, and then you have a host of features that you can calibrate. There's drivetrain, you have dynamics, which is the handling, then you have the steering, you have the damping, that is the most important, and of course the seat support as well. Now, when you're in sport, of course you want everything to be as responsive as it can. However, when you're in normal mode and you want to eliminate a bit of that springy movement from that soft suspension, put the damping in sport and leave everything in comfort. That will do the trick perfectly. Now in the past, the 7 Series was always the big luxury car you want if you like to drive, and handling was an integral part. Of course, it's a BMW, it's supposed to drive like one. This one has the response, it has that steering heft as well, but in terms of body control and managing all this weight, it's not the best versions. Yes, the earlier ones were lighter and also better around corners. This one, you do feel its weight and it does try really hard to mask it. But around the corner, it's just a lot of car and there's no getting away from that fact. Now, there are some things that you probably don't need in a 7 Series that this one has. Launch control, for one, is part of the package. This is an M Sport, so you do get launch control. You just have to go to Sport, go into Dynamic Plus and stay in Sport Plus. Don't put the DSC off, that will not engage the launch control. And of course, you have this left paddle that says boost on it, which means if you hold on it, you get 10 seconds of boost and added acceleration, a bit more torque, and you have that, well, I guess purely for fun, because I don't see any reason to have it as a standard fit in this 7. However, the launch control paired with the boost mode is good enough to take the 7 from 0 to 100 kph in just 5.4 seconds. The back seat obviously is the place to be, it's the most comfortable. You can stretch out and relax like no other. But even if you go on a nice long trip with your family, You want to take the wheel yourself, this 7 will definitely not disappoint you. It has power on tap, there's plenty of grunt, it's nice and relaxing to drive, and in sport mode, it's decently fun as well. Prices for the 7 Series start from 1.8 crore rupees, and there is only one version of this petrol engine in the 740i, guys. The other one is the 740D diesel. Yes, the all-electric i7 is also there. It's quieter, gets a few more features, but is also a whopping 21 lakh rupees more. In comparison, the 740i gets all the highlights from the i7, like the exceptional rear seat comfort and wow factor with the theater screen and lots of features. It doesn't feel like the 7s of the past in terms of driving dynamics, but as a luxury limousine, it is a massive step up. If you are unfazed by the polarizing styling and value interior and comfort more, the new 7 has you covered.